The rain pattered softly against the window, casting a silvery sheen across the living room. Outside, the city seemed washed clean, lights reflecting off the slick streets like scattered stars. I sat curled up on the couch, notebook balanced on my knees, scribbling furiously as I tried to make sense of the whirlwind that had become my life. My name is Ryan, and by day, I'm just a regular guy, college graduate, part-time barista, navigating the messy routines of adulthood. But by night, I'm something else entirely. It hadn't started as a rebellion or a secret indulgence. At first, it was curiosity, a fleeting fascination with the elegance and confidence of the women I saw walking down the street. The way a dress could transform a posture, the way makeup could highlight features in ways clothes never could. Slowly, experimentally, I had begun to try it for myself. A borrowed blouse here, a carefully chosen wig there. And then, the thrill, the intoxicating blend of fear and exhilaration that came with each clandestine moment in my small apartment, was irresistible. Yet, there was more at stake than self-expression. My girlfriend, Emma, had always been supportive in ways that went beyond ordinary relationships. She wasn't just a partner. She was an enigma, a catalyst, a co-conspirator in my secret life. From the moment we met, I had been captivated not only by her beauty, but by her sharp intelligence and daring. She had this way of looking at me that seemed to see through every mask, every hesitation. And now, as I sat here, the memory of her encouraging smile as she handed me my first full outfit for practice flashed vividly in my mind. The apartment smelled faintly of lavender. Emma's touch, I realized, lingering even after she had left for work. I glanced at the mirror across the room, half expecting to see a stranger staring back at me. But instead, I saw Ryan, tense and nervous, yet with a hint of the transformation that awaited. A sleek black skirt, folded neatly on the couch, beckoned silently. It was both a promise and a challenge. My thoughts were interrupted by the soft chime of my laptop. I clicked it open and scrolled through messages. Emma's latest note. Don't rush. Take your time. Tonight, we explore together. Trust yourself. My pulse quickened. Tonight wasn't just another evening. It was the night I had to confront every insecurity, every hesitation. The night that would blur the line between Ryan and the persona I had come to embrace. The apartment felt smaller somehow, walls pressing in with a mix of intimacy and suspense. I could hear the distant hum of traffic, the occasional squeak of a passing car tire, and the subtle creak of the building settling. Alone or almost alone, I began my ritual. The skirt, soft and cool against my fingers, seemed to vibrate with possibility. I unfolded it carefully, aware that every crease, every detail mattered. The sensation of silk brushing my skin, the sound of it sliding through my hands, sent a shiver down my spine. Emma had taught me about posture, about the subtle shift in gait that could transform the way I carried myself. Standing before the mirror, I adjusted my shoulders, straightened my back, and tilted my head slightly, a small movement, but one that hinted at the confidence I longed to embody. My heart raced as I imagined her watching, guiding, critiquing. The thought made me both anxious and excited, a storm of emotion that left me trembling with anticipation. It wasn't just about appearances. Each brush of makeup against my skin, each careful adjustment of the wig, felt like shedding layers of inhibition. Ryan, the hesitant, unsure man, was receding, replaced by someone more daring, more expressive, more me. And yet, the duality haunted me. Could I ever fully merge these identities without fear? Without shame? Could Emma truly see me and still accept me? The questions loomed, unanswered, as I reached for the first accessory, a pair of delicate earrings she had chosen for me. Sliding them on, I caught my reflection once more. The mirror no longer reflected just Ryan. It reflected a possibility. A future where I could be both myself and this other persona, where fear and thrill coexisted, where every choice carried weight. The reality of it struck me. The transformation was not merely physical. It was emotional, psychological, a delicate dance between vulnerability and empowerment. Outside, The rain intensified, a rhythmic backdrop to my inner turmoil. I glanced at my phone again. Emma would be home soon. My hands shook slightly as I fastened the final clasp of the outfit. Each second felt magnified, every sound amplified. The thrill of anticipation mingled with a gnawing anxiety. What if I failed? What if I stumbled and exposed the secret I had so carefully nurtured? Yet, amidst the fear, a quiet, undeniable excitement pulsed through me. This was more than a secret. It was an adventure. It was a test of trust, of courage, of identity. And tonight, with Emma's guidance, I would walk that line. I would face the duality within me and see if the two halves, Ryan and the girl he was becoming, could coexist. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the skirt against my legs, the softness of the wig brushing my shoulders. I adjusted my posture once more, letting the reflection in the mirror anchor me. The apartment, the city beyond, even the rain itself, seemed to hold its breath in anticipation. Tonight, I was no longer just Ryan. Tonight, I would step into the persona that Emma had helped me create. Tonight, I would confront fear, desire, and transformation, all at once. And as the door clicked softly in the distance, signaling Emma's imminent arrival, I realized that everything was about to change. Not just for me, but for the delicate, thrilling, and terrifying world we were about to explore together. The apartment was quiet, save for the rhythmic patter of rain against the windows. I stood in front of the mirror, the skirt hugging my hips, the wig framing my face in soft waves. Every detail mattered. The way the skirt fell, the angle of my shoulders, the tilt of my head. Emma hovered nearby, her eyes sharp yet encouraging, like a teacher guiding a nervous student through a delicate dance. "Breathe," she murmured. "Feel it. You're not just putting on clothes, you're stepping into who you can be." I nodded, but the knot of anxiety in my stomach didn't loosen. What if someone saw me like this? What if I couldn't pull it off? The thrill of transformation battled against a deep, primal fear of exposure. My pulse raced as I slipped into a pair of heels, feeling the unfamiliar pressure along my arches and the subtle elongation of my legs. The physical sensation was strange, almost intoxicating. Every step I took toward the mirror made me more aware of the duality I carried within me. Emma's fingers brushed lightly against mine, steadying me. "Now the makeup," she said. "Take your time." Applying foundation felt like painting a mask, yet the reflection staring back was not a mask but an emergence. The contouring, the blush, the careful application of eyeliner, it all worked together to craft the persona I was becoming. I could feel my nerves melting into something else. Confidence, anticipation, excitement. Each brushstroke was a tiny rebellion against the anxiety threatening to control me. "Look at you," Emma whispered, her voice soft but charged. "You're incredible. Own it." I smiled nervously, then tested a tentative sway, practicing how I might walk when I left the safety of the mirror. The sound of my heels clicking on the floor was both thrilling and terrifying. I felt lighter, freer, yet every step reminded me of how exposed I truly was. But it wasn't just about appearance. Internally, I wrestled with conflicting emotions. I was exhilarated, yet ashamed. I was daring, yet terrified. The secret life I had built for myself, the thrill of crossdressing in privacy, was suddenly a living thing, demanding acknowledgement. My heart ached with longing, my mind raced with what-ifs. Emma noticed the tension and moved closer, whispering in my ear, "You can't control what others think. You can only control how you feel about yourself. Right now, you're beautiful. You're daring. You're you." Her words were a balm, yet the suspense lingered. The rain outside intensified, masking the sounds of the city, giving me a false sense of privacy. But the thought of discovery, even at home, gnawed at me. One wrong sound, a creak, a knock, a sudden entry, could shatter the carefully constructed world we had built. I shifted in front of the mirror, testing the outfit, the heels, the wig. The skirt swished softly around my thighs. The wig settled into place perfectly. Emma adjusted a stray lock of hair, her fingers lingering with unexpected intimacy. Confidence comes from knowing you belong in your skin, she said. I tried to internalize that, letting the words anchor me. My reflection stared back, a delicate balance of vulnerability and power. Each feature, each movement, each carefully chosen accessory reinforced the persona I was growing into. I was no longer merely Ryan. I was the girl Emma had helped me reveal. The tension ratcheted higher when the doorbell rang unexpectedly. My body froze. Who could it be? The thought of someone discovering me in this form made my stomach churn. Emma's hand on my shoulder steadied me. "I've got this," she said. "Stay calm." I nodded, but my heart hammered against my ribs. The suspense was unbearable. Whoever it was, male, neighbor, a friend, I had to maintain composure. I moved toward the door, practicing a casual sway, reminding myself of the persona I now inhabited. Opening the door revealed only a delivery man with a package, but the encounter left me trembling. Every nerve felt heightened. Every glance from him amplified my vulnerability. Once the door closed, I exhaled shakily. Emma hugged me, whispering, "You're doing beautifully. This is just the beginning." The hours stretched on. We experimented with poses, expressions, and subtle gestures that made the transformation complete. The physicality of wearing heels, skirts, and a wig was challenging but exhilarating. Each trial made me more aware of my dual identity, Ryan at rest, and the bold, confident persona I could summon at will. But internal conflict continued to simmer. I feared judgment, rejection, exposure. My hands shook slightly as I applied the final touches to my makeup. My mind spun with questions. Could I ever fully merge these identities? Would people understand if they saw me like this? Could Emma and I keep this delicate balance without risking disaster? Emma's gentle encouragement anchored me. "This is a journey," she reminded me. "No rush, no shame. Only discovery." The suspense built as the day faded into night. Rain continued to streak the windows, shadows lengthening in the room. We experimented with outfits, accessories, and even walking around the apartment as though stepping into a public space. Each trial carried tension. What if someone arrived unexpectedly? What if we lost control of the fantasy we were weaving? By the time night fully settled, the transformation felt complete, not just in appearance, but in mindset. I could feel the persona solidifying, confidence blooming despite the lingering fear. My reflection in the mirror no longer showed just Ryan. It showed the culmination of courage, trust, and exploration. Yet the suspense remained. Each tick of the clock, each sound from the building, was a reminder that discovery could come at any moment. The thrill of the secret life we were building, the intensity of the transformation, and the anxiety of exposure were inextricably intertwined. I had never felt more alive, more exposed, and more exhilarated at the same time. Emma smiled, watching me examine my reflection. "You're ready," she said. "Ready for what comes next." I nodded, though a flutter of nerves still raced through me. The suspense, the transformation, and the emotional journey had only just begun. Tonight, Ryan and the persona he had become would face the ultimate test, navigating the fine line between hidden desires and potential exposure. And as the clock ticked forward, the rain pounding outside, I realized that nothing would ever be the same again. The night had grown darker, shadows stretching long across the apartment. The rain hammered against the windows in a steady rhythm, masking sounds from the outside world. But inside, every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of fabric, seemed deafening. I stood in front of the mirror, adjusting the hem of the skirt, smoothing the wig into place. The persona I had built over weeks of secret practice, the confident, elegant figure I now embodied, felt solid, yet terrifyingly fragile. Emma's eyes watched me from the doorway, a mixture of pride and caution in her gaze. "Remember," she whispered, "it's not just about looking perfect. It's about feeling it, owning it." I nodded, though my stomach nodded. Tonight wasn't just practice, it was a test. A real challenge. The doorbell rang again, sharper this time, cutting through the rhythm of the rain. My heart leapt into my throat. Who could it be at this hour? Emma squeezed my hand. Stay calm. Trust yourself. I moved toward the door, each step calculated, heels clicking against the hardwood with unnerving precision. I peeked through the peephole, a neighbor, drenched from the rain, holding a parcel. Relief washed over me, but only briefly. Each interruption heightened my awareness of vulnerability, of how exposed I was in this persona. Back in the living room, Emma guided me through poses in front of the mirror, teaching subtle shifts in posture and expression. But the tension was relentless. I could feel sweat prickling along my back, my chest tightening with a mixture of excitement and fear. Every glance from Emma felt like scrutiny, yet also reassurance. I was caught between thrill and terror, exhilaration and shame. Then, unexpectedly, my phone buzzed. A text from a friend, a surprise invitation to a small gathering just a block away. My pulse quickened. Should I step outside like this? The idea of public exposure both thrilled and terrified me. My fingers trembled as I scrolled, Emma's hand steadying mine. You can do it, she whispered. But only if you're ready. The suspense ratcheted higher as I debated the decision internally. Stepping out meant risking discovery, judgment, embarrassment. Yet staying inside, trapped in the apartment, felt suffocating. I could feel the persona I had nurtured pressing against me, demanding acknowledgement, daring me to take the leap. Finally, I made my choice. With Emma guiding every movement, I stepped into the hallway, the heels clicking confidently, the skirt swishing, the wig perfectly in place. The air outside was sharp and cold, the rain soaking through my thin jacket. But I felt alive. Vulnerable, yes, but exhilarated in a way I had never experienced. The small gathering was close, a few friends chatting under a canopy, oblivious to the transformation that had brought me here. Each step toward them felt like a performance, every glance from strangers like a potential exposure. I smiled, laughed, moved with grace I had only practiced in private. And yet, the suspense never left me. Each interaction carried weight. Each smile could be a revelation, each casual comment a threat. Then, a sudden twist, Emma's voice behind me. Careful, she warned. I turned, and in that split second, a friend's gaze landed on me, eyes widening with surprise. My heart raced. Could I recover? Could I maintain composure? The next moments were a blur of adrenaline. Conversations, gestures, laughter. All under the shadow of potential exposure. My body moved automatically, guided by Emma's coaching, yet my mind was alert to every nuance, every subtle reaction. The duality within me, the ordinary Ryan and the confident persona I had become, fought for dominance. Back at the apartment later, I collapsed onto the couch, trembling. The persona had survived, barely. Yet the thrill of having faced public exposure, of having maintained composure despite fear, left me lightheaded, exhilarated. Emma hovered nearby, her eyes gleaming with pride and something else, anticipation. But suspense was far from over. A knock at the door shattered the fragile calm. I froze, every muscle taut. Who could it be now? The duality of fear and thrill surged through me. The reflection in the mirror, my confident persona, stared back, daring me to face the next challenge. I approached the door slowly, the rain outside a relentless drumbeat. Peeking through the peephole, I saw nothing, just shadows, shifting in the dim light. The suspense was maddening. Every instinct screamed for caution, every fiber of my being urged retreat. Yet I knew the night wasn't over. The challenges, the revelations, the exposure, I had only begun to navigate them. Emma's voice, calm and soothing, anchored me. You've come so far. You can handle whatever comes next. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the heels, the swish of the skirt, the comfort of the wig. The persona was strong, confident, ready. And yet, the threat of discovery loomed over me like a storm cloud. Each moment of vulnerability was amplified, each heartbeat a reminder of how fragile the balance was between secrecy and exposure. Then a sound, a subtle shift, almost imperceptible. I turned, and for the first time, I caught a glimpse of my reflection not in the mirror, but in the window pane, a combination of Ryan and the persona I had become. The image was fleeting, but it struck me like lightning. The transformation was complete, physically, emotionally, psychologically. I was no longer just Ryan, nor just the persona. I was both, intertwined, inseparable, vulnerable yet powerful. And just as I savored that revelation, another knock rang out, louder this time. My pulse leapt. The suspense was unbearable. Who stood on the other side of the door? Was it danger, discovery, or something else entirely? I glanced at Emma. Her eyes were wide, yet steady, a mix of warning and encouragement. "Are you ready?" she asked. I swallowed hard, gripping the doorknob. My reflection in the window seemed to nod at me, a silent affirmation. The duality within me braced for the unknown. And then, with trembling hands, I opened the door. The doorknob trembled in my hand, slick from nerves and the rain dripping from my sleeves. I peered through the narrow crack between the door and its frame. A shadow loomed outside, distorted by the dim hallway light. My heart hammered, and I could feel every pulse in my temples. "Breathe," Emma whispered behind me, her hand resting lightly on my shoulder. The warmth of her touch grounded me, but it didn't erase the dread. Whoever or whatever stood outside could change everything. I forced my fingers to twist the knob, slowly, deliberately, trying to appear calm even as panic clawed at my chest. The door creaked open, revealing nothing. Just the empty, dimly lit hallway. The rain had slackened to a drizzle, dripping from the awning above, echoing softly in the silence. Relief washed over me for a heartbeat, but then, a faint noise caught my attention. A soft shuffle, almost imperceptible, coming from behind me. I froze. Emma's eyes met mine, widening slightly. "You didn't hear that?" she whispered. I shook my head, straining to listen. The sound came again, closer this time. Footsteps. Light, deliberate, yet confident. Someone was inside. Someone knew, or had stumbled upon, my secret. I backed toward the living room, heels clicking against the hardwood. Each step echoed like a gunshot in the quiet apartment. My skirt swished around my thighs, the wig shifting slightly with every movement. I felt exposed, both in body and in soul. This wasn't just about the physical transformation anymore. It was about being discovered, about the fragile persona I had nurtured for weeks being ripped apart in an instant. Emma moved in front of me, protective, her hand gripping mine. "Stay calm," she said. Her voice was steady, though her eyes betrayed the tension. The shadow appeared at the edge of the hallway, just beyond the living room's faint light. I could make out the silhouette, a figure tall and ambiguous, their features obscured. My breath caught. My body trembled, but I forced myself to remain poised, to maintain the persona I had fought so hard to embody. "Who's there?" I demanded, my voice trembling despite my effort to sound confident. No answer. Only the shuffle of footsteps, approaching slowly, deliberate. The suspense was unbearable. Every instinct screamed to flee, to hide, to strip away the persona and revert to safety. But the persona, the girl I had become, stood firm, even as my hands shook. Suddenly, the figure stepped into the light. And in that instant, my world tilted. It wasn't a stranger. It wasn't a neighbor. It was someone I never expected. Their eyes met mine, wide with surprise, curiosity, and something I couldn't immediately identify. Judgment? Amusement? Admiration? I froze. Emma's grip tightened, and I could feel her breath quicken behind me. Every second stretched into eternity. My dual identity, the ordinary Ryan and the confident persona, coexisted in perfect tension, each waiting to see which would prevail. The figure didn't speak. They only smiled, slowly, a smile that sent shivers down my spine. A knowing, teasing smile, as if they understood everything without a single word. I opened my mouth, wanting to explain, to justify, to retreat, but no sound emerged. My voice was gone, swallowed by fear, by thrill, by the sheer intensity of the moment. Emma stepped forward slightly, protective yet curious. "Do you know him?" she asked, her voice steady but cautious. The figure tilted their head, their smile widening just a fraction. And then they said something that made my heart skip. "So, this is the new you?" The words hung in the air, dripping with implication, heavy with suspense. Every instinct screamed at me, run, hide, deny, but the persona I had built refused to collapse. I stood firm, poised yet trembling, aware that my secret had been breached. The person in front of me wasn't hostile, but the knowledge in their eyes, the understanding, made the danger just as real. I glanced at Emma, whose eyes were wide with shock and curiosity. She squeezed my hand, silently urging me to stay strong. I took a deep breath, feeling the wig on my head, the skirt against my thighs, the heels grounding me in this new identity. This was who I had become, and now someone else knew. The figure's smile didn't falter. They took a single step closer, and the suspense tightened like a vice around my chest. Every nerve in my body screamed. Every heartbeat thundered in my ears. What would happen next? Exposure, acceptance, ridicule, or something entirely unexpected? I opened my mouth again, ready to speak, to explain, to plead. And then the screen went black. The cliffhanger was absolute. No answers. No resolution. Only the pounding suspense of a secret life teetering on the edge of discovery.